Hello, everyone. Happy Bananiversary to everyone. Today is the day, Bananiversary Day. I don't know the actual date, but because we're talking about this episode today, it's Bananiversary Day. I'm Drew. I'm here to talk about Surviving Bloomington, Mischief Makers, Chapter 7, ninth episode of the season, whichever way you want to go. I am joined, as usual, by Steven. Hey, Steven.
So there is no video footage of you not eating the banana, and so I don't think we can truly say that you didn't tee this up for a second banana gate.
There's no footage of me eating the banana last season.
That's true. And we have no footage of May and oh gosh,
Savannah.
I was like Taylor, May and Savannah eating the banana. So really, Drew, we might need to put some limits around you and the bananas in camp.
I would just like to say that I am very proud of these women for deciding to do something fun. A lot of what we're hearing about this tribe is that they tend to stay pretty clumped together, and that's a big complaint that we're hearing from them in confessionals. So I love that when they had the moment, they made the most of it. I do wish it was on camera, but it's okay. When I did it, it wasn't on camera either. I love the multiple shout outs. I feel very honored. Thank you.
I mean, what a world would have been if Drew was the one that did this, right? If it was just a Drew thing to eat the bananas in each season secretly.
That's production interference. They could sue. They could sue Casey for this.
Oh yes, for all $0 of the winnings, right? That's exactly what's going to happen here.
What's her name from Survivor Borneo? Stacy. They could.
There was a lot more at stake there. I mean, granted, there's a lot at stake here, given the tiers, but there's a lot more at stake in Borneo season 1.
Debatable. They've never seen this. So
$1 million and a free trip to jail? What's not to love for Richard Hatch?
And the best thing about season 1 was their $1 million was physically in a chest on the seasons.
Does Casey need to transform like his little place he sits on like into like a giant like glass case with all the money raised for the charities?
That would be so funny because it would just be like one check.
It could be a jumbo check. It could be a large novelty check, or just Mr. Beastie get a bunch of $1 bills.
Exactly. Amazing. Monopoly money, something. Okay, but we are here to talk about this episode. I last recap, I complained quite a bit actually. I griped a bit. And one of my gripes was that we were not seeing emotion for some of the players. We got emotion.
So who hasn't cried this season? I think this is a very important metric. I don't think
Mariah, maybe.
Mariah was just kind of like, what is happening around me this episode?
We haven't seen Drew cry.
True.
We haven't seen Eric cry.
Yeah.
I think it's just those three. Because Joelle, May, and Taylor all cried. May's cried in a confessional. Taylor and Joelle cried when Mira had to leave. All of Blue, except for Mariah, cried this episode. So I think it's just Drew, Eric, and Mariah. So we'll see who can be the last one standing without crying.
This is the true betting pool we should have done this season.
We should draft for next season. We're going to have to draft who's going to be the last one to cry.
And then Casey will introduce an onion chopping competition just for us.
Exactly. Speaking of Casey, I think I forgot to tell him we were doing this today, but that's fine.
I put in the group chat, the secret group chat for season 6.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. You did. Usually I don't look at your messages in that group chat because I'm scared of seeing GIFs before I see them here. Because I want to
valid.
Okay, let's talk about this immunity challenge. This is a pretty classic Survivor challenge. I'm sure it has a formal name. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's the one where people have to everybody's holding a rope that's connected to a platform, and you have to build blocks up on the platform by placing them one at a time. And originally they had to have the blocks to spell the word immunity. We gave them a time limit on it. Casey asked them before the challenge, do you guys want to do the easy or the hard version of this challenge? And everybody was like, the hard version. And we were like, cool, sounds good. So we did it as the word immunity, and we set a time limit. It was like 15, 20 minutes or something. Nobody got it after that time limit. So we switched to the word immune. And we see that There are a couple of near successes, but ultimately, blue just can't pull it together, and the red tribe wins again.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because like you see them do immunity, and suddenly it's like I think you see the blue tribe spelling immune. I'm just like, do they not know how to spell immunity? Is it just at that point in the game where everyone's losing their mind? Then you see red tribe spelling immune. I'm like, oh, this was a challenge change as a result.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't blame Casey for not taking the time to explain that. Just yada, like I said, one thing that I love that Casey does is yada yadaing the non-important stuff with the challenges. If it's important, he'll show it. That was not important. Moving on.
I think it's interesting that like you didn't like there's a choice not to just simply scale it down over time, say, hey, like you don't need the I, you don't need the M, you don't like kind of reduce like, no, I'm just going straight to the immune. And to be fair, like I was impressed that we nearly saw people do it with immunity.
Yeah, they got very close. I think there were a lot of nerves. Again, it was very hot. So I think if they would have had longer, if he would have upped the time limit to 30 minutes instead of 15 or 20, whatever it was, I think they would have gotten it. I do think they would have gotten it. They would have gotten used to it. They were evolving the strategy. I know one thing that May was really big on was licking the blocks to get them to stick together after placing them. So lots of evolving strategy in this challenge. Thankfully, everybody had the same blocks each time, so you weren't like licking other people's blocks. But I think it was May who was telling people to do that. It may have been another lady.
That
But I
is
think
wildly unsanitary. And granted, you're in Survivor and you're dirty and miserable and like you're eating food off of leaves at certain points. But
I was
I
gonna say, Steven, some of these people, like, there are far less sanitary things being done. Like, these people haven't showered in 3 days. I'm sure not everybody brought a toothbrush.
Did you bring a toothbrush to your game, to your season, our season?
I'm pretty sure. I remember John and I going to brush our teeth together a lot, so I'm pretty confident I did. Because
I
John
didn't bring it.
John had Invisalign, and so he and I would go off and share like toothpaste. So I had my toothbrush. I brought toothbrush. I did not bring toothpaste, but I brought toothbrush, deodorant. I think those may be the only hygiene things that I brought.
I brought nothing hygiene related in the game. I brought medicine and food.
Yeah, I brought medication, food, like a towel. I mostly put my packing efforts into clothing, which ended up being irrelevant because after it rained, Mackenzie took half of my clothing anyway because hers got destroyed, and I was like, fine, I'll be nice.
I mean, I think there hasn't been as so Yellow Tribe thinks that Danny had very good outfits. I will say no one has quite trumped Mackenzie's trash bag.
Yeah, the trash bag is pretty iconic. I'm trying to think. There were a couple of looks. I mean, Danny's like yellow shirt from this season is definitely up there. I think by the time we get to season like 10, 11, 12, we can do a full bracket of Surviving Bloomington outfits.
I mean, and I think that the bracket, the outfits have really been stolen by Eric coming in with the predetermined outfits. Like his blue one was good, but the cloud costume, like, oh my gosh, what is the merge even going to look like? We'll see.
Well, but do we count that? It's the improv that counts. Maybe we should do a challenge next season that's a Survivor fashion show challenge.
Project Runway Takeover. I mean, yes, I do agree it's the impromptu, which is more impressive. But I don't think I've ever seen someone come in with such a like well thought out costume change across like tribes.
100%. I think the only way we go up from here is if somebody packs a reveal outfit where they have like a tearaway or something that they can do in the middle of a challenge.
Don't give ideas.
I think that would be hilarious. Because I'm pro giving ideas for that.
Most games you kind of show up in an outfit and that's kind of it, right? And so like you'll swap it, like people will kind of be in the original tribe colors on their swap tribe, so it is more unique that case. Like no, let's go more uniform here with what you're wearing. But so it allowing what Eric did to be possible is just kind of magical. I don't think it'll ever happen again.
Yeah, let's actually talk about Eric and his tribe. We get sort of clued in that because this red tribe is not having to go to tribal council much recently, they're getting a lot of time to sit around and talk, and they're having these deep conversations. They're getting to know each other. They're talking about the things you're not supposed to talk about, politics and religion. And yeah, it seems like everybody is really receptive to each other. And even though people have differences in opinions on things, everybody is being really respectful. And Eric says these are his favorite type of conversations to have in LRGs. And I agree, more than the game are personal relationships and developing those. And these are the times you get to do that. I know last season we got to do that a little bit on the original Chaos Tribe because we didn't have to go to Tribal the whole first day. And we got to all really open up in both small groups and in the big group, and that was really nice. And it's nice getting to see other people doing that. Stephen, have you had any experiences like that in any of the games you've done?
Drew, do you want me? We should talk about my favorite you conversation in Real Foods. Is when you're with. I can't remember who you're with, but you end up trapped in a Star Wars conversation for an hour.
It was freaking Josh and Sharif, and I was like, if I isolate myself anymore, these people are gonna hate me. They already hated me, but I was like, if I isolate myself, these people are gonna hate me more. So I have to be around them, and they were just non-stop talking about Star Wars, and I don't care. I was just stuck in camp between them, like physically laying between them while they're talking over me about Star Wars.
That's like my favorite thing I remember from your deep dive interview with me from your Real Food experience was the Star Wars conversation you could not escape.
Well, that's probably the only humor I was able to give because that season was awful for me. I did not do well. Those people did not like me.
But getting back to your actual question,
Yeah.
no, I like those moments and experiences are what makes these games worthwhile and are like one of the highlights of it. I mean, I don't think I had one really in the game until I was voted out and I was at Redemption. And that night at Redemption was like there was some real conversation and some powerful conversation. I don't feel like I don't think I had the time and space for those kinds of conversations while I was in game because there was a lot of losing and tribal council for me in the game.
Yeah.
But like it's moments like those. Like I will say my version is Survivor British Columbia. My tribe is swapped. I think it's swapped. I can't remember. It's a swap original tribe. I'm laying there, and there's this large conversation about vaping and vape flavors, and I was like, "Oh gosh, I have nothing in common."
No,
with
Steven, you talk about that all the time. That's your opportunity to slide in.
It's my entire personality. Let's be honest. But yeah, it's like in that one, I was like, "Oh gosh, I'm in serious trouble. I have nothing in common with these people."
Right.
But no, it's the moments like those that I really like and enjoy, and it's just hard sometimes to have the time and pacing where you really enjoy the fact you're a group of strangers from all walks in life together, really kind of getting the experience with each other and can recognize like, hey, we are different, we are going to disagree on religion and politics and all these important things, but we can still respect each other and coexist and work with each other despite that.
And it's so strange because there are people in our lives who we will see, you see the same people at work 5+ times a week for years, and you don't have these sorts of conversations with them. But then a stranger who you met 3 days ago, who you're actively competing against without showering, like having secret conversations, and you're opening up to them about this. It's so interesting, and it's my favorite part of LRG. It's why I love the Bloomington community, especially because the environment is provided for these conversations.
It just helps winning make it happen. But I mean, do you feel like the description of these games as adult summer camp, is that a good description? Is that a bad description? Because I feel like there is a bit of that summer camp style experience where you have these very intense experiences, kind of estranged from your normal life, and you form these quick, strong friendships coming out of it through this type of experience.
Yeah, I would say competitive summer camp is a good.
There we go. That's the correct edge to it.
Yeah, competitive summer camp for charity is a good way to describe Surviving Bloomington. But it's like an intensive. It's like instead of a semester, we're just doing like 5 days. We're doing an intensive.
Well, if you ever went to summer camp growing up, oftentimes it would be a week, right? But like this is kind of the same.
Oh yeah, like go away camps. Yeah.
Go away camp, right? Like you go out, and of course, growing up, like social media wasn't a thing, so you go out, you meet people, and make friendships, then you go back to your life, and you don't have, unless you see them there next year again, you don't have that point in contact. I'm like, you and I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good analysis actually. I really like that. And I think I having after these games, you talk about with the rest of the cast the experience and like what ifs. What ifs are a big thing in these games. You
Yeah.
talk about those for like months, years, but the memories that you have made with the people and the relationships will last forever. You know, in 10 years when we're looking back at this season of Surviving Bloomington, those people on that red tribe are going to remember the conversations they had with
Mhm.
each other over the strategy conversations that they had this round. Um,
I still
and
remember some of both, but no, I agree. Those are the
yeah,
more poignant.
they'll remember the relationships. But let's talk about strategy. Eric tells us that he is still struggling. He knows he's on the bottom. He's working something though. It looks like what he's trying to do, he has an advantage that if he wins an individual immunity, he gets 2 keys. He has pitched to Savannah like, "Hey, I have this. If you will kind of keep me in the loop, work with me, I will give these 2 keys to you, or I'll give you this parchment and you can earn them since I'm not going to win challenges." And Savannah acknowledges like, "Yeah, I'm actively now looking to keep a door open with Eric." And yeah, Steven, how do we feel about this?
So I want to back it up a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
like there's discussion when the merge is, right? And there's gotta be people anticipating the merge is soon, maybe ish. We're down to 10 players. The lowest we can go is probably 8 before KC initiates a merge. So the suffering could continue, but less likely to happen. And so we don't really hear about like what people expect to do or what they're going to try to do at merge. Is this simply red and blue at coming to blows initially, and then we'll let things scatter from there, or are people going to cross paths? And you would think that Eric may be an important swing vote because we hear Blue say we don't know if Eric's still with us or not. Now we know Eric just
We
probably
know
isn't.
Eric is with them, but
Yeah,
Blue doesn't. Yeah,
yeah.
and we'll talk about what they say about Eric later because there are a couple people who chime in on
But
Eric.
I'm surprised, or maybe we simply don't see this. The red players, such as Savannah May, really trying to sell Eric like, hey, we want you to stick with us, and we're not simply saying this so you're number 6, right? Like we seriously want to incorporate you in. We don't see these kind of sale pitches occur, and maybe because like you have those pitches and you go to tribal council, you try to vote them out, and say, sorry, you were number 6 just in this one situation. But I'm surprised people aren't trying to bring him in. But I do love now getting back to what you're saying, Eric trying to instead build those bridges on the other side, saying, hey, like Savannah and May, like let me try to like let's see if we can do something here.
Yeah, I think the reason probably if I'm one of the 5 reds who's not Eric, if I'm one of the 5, probably the reason I'm not actively trying to keep Eric like on the hook is because we already put the majority of votes on him. He knows we already tried to get him out. So there's no point in hiding or pretending. I guess is their perspective. Now, I like leaving doors open
Yeah.
personally. I would tend to be more inclined to do what Savannah's doing and being like, "Oh, Eric has approached me. He knows he's on the bottom, but he has this idea. I like the idea. We'll see what we can do." So it's good to see that Eric has at least something to work with for the Eric believers, the Eric fans. I'm an Eric fan now. Um,
So Gibble fans are giblets. Eric fans are
um, the clown noses. I don't know. Um,
well, you'll workshop it.
little honkers. I don't, yeah, I'm a little honker through and through. Big Eric T as of lately. Love that the character has been shed a lot, and we're getting to see Eric. I've said this a million times. Love it. Um,
Person losing his mind in a clown costume in a forest to earn you to win you over.
yeah, there's nothing like that to strip you down to your core, and show who you really are. It seems like meanwhile, Joel is getting to be a little bit restless. We've heard from him a lot recently that he's looking forward to the merge. He tells us that when he is at the merge, he intends to probably stick with Red, but he thinks that maybe Jacob is looking to work with him. says that Jacob is like making eyes at him, like, hey, I want to work with you, that sort of thing. And Joel's like, when we get to the merge, I'm going to consider my options, but I'm scared because if I do anything too big, they're going to come after me. But if I don't do anything, I'm not going to be able to pitch my case at Final Tribal. So I'm trying to figure out how to play the middle.
I thought this was a really honest and pragmatic, and he's been kind of pragmatic all game, but honest and pragmatic confessional from him, kind of realizing like, hey, here's where I feel I am. Here's the good and the bad to it. And the good is like, I'm in the middle. The bad news is I'm in the middle. Right. And like, if I simply, because I think there's a
Is
world
he
where
actually in the middle though? Or is he, I think he wants to be in the middle, but like realistically, who's he between?
red players.
Like, I guess he has the connection with Brittany.
I feel like when he was saying I'm in the middle, it's like in terms of his initial tribe dynamic. And I think he's kind of suggesting that, hey, maybe I could be a swing. Like, hence, like, we haven't heard from Jacob about making eyes at Joel, but maybe he's fiction. Like, hey, maybe I'm kind of in the middle when these tribes go at it, and therefore I have leeway to maybe pull someone over or go to the other side.
Yeah, and to be fair to Jacob, he has a couple other things to worry about at the moment. So I understand why maybe we haven't heard about that from him, but maybe it is intentional.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting saying, I'm scared, and like I think fear is a thing on Survivor that really defines and shapes how you play. I have made decisions in games that were, in retrospect, suboptimal out of fear.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. Absolutely. Same.
Like, I've not voted ways I should out of simple, like, hey, I just want to get through this versus taking a stab. All right. And
Yeah.
like, risks are hard. Risks are hard to measure. And especially walking into potentially a 5-5, though it'll be 5-5 plus a redemption if next episode's merged. So like, you don't know how that's going to break.
Yeah. Well, and I think one thing that's interesting with Joel is he's playing a very analytical game. He's trying to analyze, 2-3 rounds ahead. We've seen that confessional after confessional. He was running numbers a lot early on. He's looking at how to maneuver a swap, a merge. Unfortunately, I fear Joel may be overlooking one thing. And I think if I'm Joel, this is the thing that's making me the most scared, is not like, when do I make a big move? It's, am I still seen as being in a trio? I just don't, in my brain, with what I'm seeing on the screen, none of May, Joel, Taylor are nervous that they're being seen as a trio, but everybody else is naming them as a trio.
I mean, I think that will be an issue if there's a merge and they say, hey, if blue needs to target a red, they're going to target one of those three. And I think one of those three will be targeted as a merge vote.
Yeah. Yep. Potentially.
Yeah. So I think it's like you're looking like, how can we break up the opposition? Let's gun for them.
Yeah. Yeah. We get a little bit of banana shenanigans from May and Savannah. May tells us that everybody was away from camp. It was down to just May and Savannah. She saw a banana and was like, hey, you want to split this and eat it real quick? They split a banana in half, ate it, threw away the peel, and gave me a tribute. Again, appreciate that. Love it. And they're kind of just like, we'll just blame it on Eric. He's on the bottom anyway. Everybody will just assume it's him.
Well, I thought I heard at some point, maybe I was wrong, that they were trying to blame Trace as well.
Yeah, they were considering blaming Trace because there was so much drama around these bananas before that even happened. So Red won the bananas. Original Red won the bananas. They swapped from 2 tribes into 3. Yellow takes some of the bananas with them. There was then a rule clarification that you cannot take anything from the original camp that was won as a reward. So I have to go to Yellow, fetch the bananas, bring them back to Red. There's the second swap, so the bananas are still on Red. Trace gets voted out, and that is like roughly like right after Trace's boot sometime within the next couple of hours is when this banana went missing. So they were kind of like, we'll just say either Trace ate it while he was here, or we'll say Eric did it because everybody is not liking Eric anyway.
So, do you regret not bringing someone into Bananagate to forge a deeper alliance with them, Drew?
The thing is, when I did it, I wasn't trying to do it as this thing. I was just like, I'm bored and hungry. I just want to eat. I just want food. I wasn't trying to make it into this big thing, and it ended up being hilarious, other people's reactions. But do I regret not looping anybody in? No, it was fun by myself. Like I said, I just kind of was like, what if I ate a banana and then ate 2 more?
Future players, when you steal a banana and eat it, make sure you flag in a camera person, please.
Exactly. We need it on camera. No theft unless it's on camera. But yeah, I thought it was really fun. It seems like pretty quickly the rest of the tribe's made aware of what's going on. Joel and Drew also mention it in their confessionals, which is really fun. Seems like everybody's just kind of like, somebody stole a banana. Cool. Yay. Thanks,
Until
Drew.
they paint bananas on their faces, it's not a real thing.
Exactly. Where are the artists this season? Maybe they'll come into the next challenge.
To be fair, you look at people's tags they put on their torches, far better art than anything I did.
Far better. Yeah. I think I didn't do anything super interesting on
I
mine.
just wrote my name, man.
Yeah. Mine, I like painted mine a little bit, but yeah. Steven, anything else for the Red Tribe this episode? We get some good personal content from Drew, which I think is nice. We've gotten a couple episodes this season where we've gotten to hear about personal stuff from Drew, which is really nice.
Then I like Drew's personal content a lot. I'm not sure where Drew stands with other players as well, but I feel like Drew has brought a lot of heart in this game and like has really kind of a little bit what Melly did, kind of really team build.
Yeah. Something he mentioned was if he makes it to the end, he's going to mention like stereotypes. And I just think it's really cool that someone who, I mean, Savannah or May one joked about Drew sticking out on the cast list.
Yeah.
I just think it's really cool that we're at 10 people left after this episode and Drew's still in.
But I think it's like you have 10 people left, and also it's like I think it's 4 guys, 6 women.
Yeah, they knocked out a lot of the men really early.
Yeah, so which is interesting, and so it goes. It happens. I mean, my favorite storyline of Outlast is like everyone gets mad that women get knocked out so early. At least the first 2 seasons, like we need to do something different season 3, and we'll see.
Yeah, a lot of the men got knocked out early. I mean, you have Gibble, Ryan, Carlos back to back, and then followed by Danny and Francis, who are both non-binary, and then another man and another 2 men in Trace and Zach. Mm-hmm. So the women until recently have been chilling. But yeah, I think it's an interesting split. 5 original red going into this next episode plus Eric. So let's talk about this blue tribe. Very interesting. Essentially what happens is in the real time, red is sent out, they're sent back to camp. Blue tribe is huddled up, debating, tears start being shed. Casey's kind of like, what's going on? Eleanor steps forward, basically says, I don't want us to have to go back to camp and scramble and turn against each other and cause fractures. I think everybody else on this team maybe wants it a little bit more than me. It's my first game. I'm confident in my abilities on Redemption Island. To keep this group together, I'm going to volunteer to be voted out and go to Redemption Island, and I will just win my way back in and rejoin them later. I just need us as a unit to stay strong right now. And I think that these 4 are probably more capable of doing this as a unit while I'm on Redemption. Steven, what do we think about this?
Oh, really began. In our chats leading up this episode, you provide the comparison to Ozzy.
I brought the comparison to Ozzy because it's the only time we've seen something kind of like this.
Um, you know, are you getting feedback echo on your side? So I'm hearing some. Okay, I don't hear anything now, so it might be a mic thing. Um, okay, so I'll start with the nice and move to the maybe a little less nice. Um, I think people come to these games with a lot of things they want, and winning is one of them. But learning and challenging and experience are big points for a lot of people, and for myself, that's one of the things that draw me to these games. Is like meet new people, do hard things, and learn about myself, learn about others, and be out of my comfort zone. And I can respect Eleanor really saying like, I think I've accomplished that. I think I've done a lot of what I wanted to do, and acknowledging that's my first game, and that like I am content with this experience, and like I would love to win back in and do more, but like I am happy, right? And so I can really that means a lot to be able to do that and to kind of step out, not leave the game, but say, hey, I'm okay if it's my time as a result. That's hard.
Yeah,
Um,
I think her, if I had to like narrow it down to like her three reasons for stepping out in order of like
yeah,
importance to her, I think probably her biggest thing was number one, I think they just want it more than I do right
yeah,
now. Number two is I don't want them to break up or us as a unit to break up because we have to go back to camp and strategize against each other. And then number three, she was really confident in her ability to win any kind of challenge on Redemption Island. And I don't think that's as reported on in the episode, but in the real time, I just remember her being like, guys, I'm the best one here to send. I will beat all of them at any sort of challenge on Redemption Island because we see a little bit of debate going back and forth
yeah. In
on
terms
like,
of because when you go to redemption, you get keys based off your fundraising,
yep,
and so those keys provide generally more chances through that challenge. Though there could be some other twists with allowing people to
yeah.
get on the jury. Who knows? So
So
and she was
we
saying, I have
get we get
one, but
debate on should we actually send Eleanor or should we send somebody else? I know Brittany was really like, I can go in and win challenges. And Eleanor was like, no, Brittany, the team needs you for the team challenges. I'll go do the individual ones. You're better at team stuff. Um, so yeah, there was a lot of debate over it.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
I think unless you're Aussie and you can be good at almost everything, it is such a roll the die of what kind of challenge you're gonna get. Now, you can probably look at the past season and say there's probably gonna be a really nasty endurance element you're gonna have to see, right? And well, I know for me, I suck at that. So for me, it'd be like heck no. In terms of they want it more than me, I can acknowledge that, and like a lot of these people, we want the win, and but I think for me, I think you should play selfishly in these games. I think this is such a unique time in your life to go all out and do the things. I think you want to take advantage of every moment. I mean, let's go back to season 47 in Rome. Rome put himself in the key position, everything he did, which was wild and drove people crazy. But you had to
yep.
respect the man for extracting as much experience he could from this unique opportunity. And so I think, and I apologize, Eleanor, I think I want my players on the screen to play selfishly. I think I want people to play with them. And like, yes, I agree. Had they gone to vote, it could have been a brawl. It could have been
I
a
have
great.
insight on if they went to a vote because I like to do my what if research.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we'll let you do that because, like, it could have been a brawl. It could have been Eleanor's name was already out there. It could have been Maggie saying, Jacob and Mariah, I'm hugging you for dear life. And wherever you go, I go. And Brittany capitulates as a result and to say, sorry, Eleanor, like it's you or me, and I have to vote you and you have to vote me. It could have been a lot of those things. It could have been ugly. And this does solve that. So it is rare to see someone be self sacrificial in these games in that manner.
Yeah, I think it's really unique, and I think if we zoom out and we look at Eleanor's arc through these first 7
Yeah.
chapters, she comes into the game a newbie. Her first couple episodes, she doesn't really like her tribe very much, except for Jacob and Carlos, and then Carlos gets sniped out pretty early during a swap. And then as the game progresses, Eleanor starts really liking these people. We see her bond with Brittany a lot. We see her bond with May. We see her bond with Jacob. And I think maybe Eleanor was not expecting to have the emotional aspect of the game.
Do you know what she needed?
What did she
She
need?
needed a family challenge so she can see her family and they can tell her it's just a game. These people mean nothing to you. Win the $1 million.
Listen, she had her best friend there. Her best friend is Devante, who is on production. Now, he wasn't allowed to give her like that sort of like encouragement, but yeah, I think Eleanor was just not prepared, and you can't be prepared for your first LRT.
Again, I
I
saw
just
that
don't
a
think she
final
was
tribal council
prepared.
my first season, embarrassingly. Like it's like I have done all the I have like no need to go further than my first game to see how not to play.
Oh, absolutely same. My first game was Realfoot, and I was first boot because the whole time I was moody and like was snappy with my tribe, and my tribe didn't like me because I just wasn't prepared to be running my personality on 1 hour of sleep the first night. You can't be prepared. I just think she was underprepared as like I said, you can't be. She was underprepared for the emotional side, and she started really liking the people on blue, and she put strategy aside for better or for worse for the group. Was it a good move? We'll see. I mean, if Eleanor goes to Redemption Island, wins her way back in, rejoins with them, and they go all the way to the end with the 5 of them plus Eric, great move for Eleanor. I think a comment that was in the YouTube comments on the episode, I think somebody said, so Eleanor's plan to keep them from turning on each other is to step out, come back, vote everybody else out, and then turn on each other. Which I think is really interesting.
It's okay.
It's different when you're at the final 6 than when you're at the final 11.
Yes.
Stephen, question for you. Is this a quit?
No, because I think she would have been happy to let them vote her out at tribal council.
I think this is not a quit for the fact that she intentionally went to Redemption Island.
I mean, do you call what Kim did a quit last season?
I think my answer to that question is yes, but there's an asterisk because I think if a player quits, they shouldn't be allowed to be on the jury, but Kim was voted onto the jury. So that one to me is more questionable than this. With this, Eleanor's not leaving the game. She's leaving a section of the game, moving into a different with a strategic purpose. If there was no strategic purpose and she was like, I don't want them to have to vote anybody out, I'm leaving, I'm going home, I'm not going to Redemption, that's a quit.
Yeah.
But because it was with the intention strategically to go to Redemption, I don't think I counted a quit. I think this is less of a quit than Kim's.
I mean, so I look at a quit, so I'm going to differentiate a quit and a bowing out. A quit is a person's like, I'm done, I'm out, for a variety of reasons that they're unhappy, either the weather, the elements, the socials. For some reason, they're like, I am leaving this game, and I'm gone, right? I count a bowing out in a sense of saying, hey, like again, when it comes to the votes, I am going to leave in place of whoever else would leave for a reason. And for Kim's, it's like, given who has been voted out, I don't want to see someone else voted out. Therefore, I would rather take the fall for them. In Eleanor's case, she's like, I don't want to see someone else. I don't want us to fight to figure out who goes out. I will happily take one for the team right here. And if Casey had said, hey, we need to go to tribal council to make it happen, she would be like, that's fine. Let's go do that.
Yeah, she would have been like, y'all just vote for me. I'll throw my vote. Yeah. So for you, it comes down to more of intention.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, I think it comes a little bit, intention's very important. For me, also, it's a manner of like, after they make the decision, are they still involved in the game or not?
Yes. And for both Kim's and Eleanor, both of them went to Redemption and like competed in the challenge, right? And so they were still part of the game mechanics. Now, had Eleanor said peace and then walked out and didn't return, I would call that more quit. Like I think even with the intention behind it, like I think that other elements lead to no, you're simply exiting the game at this point.
Yeah. A couple of questions I have for you, Stephen. A couple different people's shoes I want you to put yourself in. Not your torn up tennis shoes from season 6. If you are Brittany and your closest ally is like, hey, I'm gonna step out so y'all don't have to scramble and vote. I'm gonna go to redemption. Y'all keep going. What do you do in this situation? Because Brittany originally in the real time, Brittany's like, oh, and then they start talking about it. Eleanor convinces Brittany. Eventually, Brittany is kind of like, well, maybe I should go. And Eleanor's like, no, I can do it. I'm fine. I'm not letting my closest ally quit.
I mean, this is the kind of conversation you want to have before the big announcement, right? This is something that Eleanor hopefully should have conveyed to Brittany, like, hey, FYI, this is what I'm thinking. And Brittany's like, no, I need you, right? I think we can pull Maggie or can somehow break up if we're, I don't know if they talk about Mariah or Jacob. I would think this is something you want to
I'll go over that in a second.
Yeah, it's something you want to head up ahead of time. When Eleanor kind of makes this announcement to everyone post-challenge, like this is what's happening, it's kind of too late. Cat's kind of out of the bag. Because then, Maggie's going to say, why would I vote with you? Clearly she wants to leave.
Yeah. So, according to my sources, which is primarily Jacob for this, but I have backup. Apparently, had they gone to tribal this round, the vote was leaning to likely be Maggie. Last recap, we had kind of postured it as Jacob and Mariah, Brittany and Eleanor, and then Maggie in the middle. Brittany apparently was very steady, very consistent in talks, communication, alignment with Jacob and Mariah. And so it was more so like Jacob and Mariah are each other's number ones. Brittany and Eleanor are each other's number ones. But Brittany and Jacob had a connection, and Eleanor and Jacob, we know, had a connection. That was like one of the first alliances of the game. Yeah. And Maggie was kind of viewed as the outsider. So my sources say Maggie may have gone here in a 4-1. Now, that would have been very sad because we wouldn't have got to see progression of the Mischief Maker, the power of mischief. But at least we got to see that progress. But yeah, so near miss possibly for Maggie, which is interesting. I think it continues to show that Mariah and Jacob are probably pretty well positioned.
Yeah, no, I think. Yeah, good to know. It's one of those things I don't think we got to see as much of. I think in the recent episode we've been hearing more about Eleanor and Jacob and Brittany and Jacob, which a lot of points to Jacob because Jacob seems to be very central in how this blue tribe is operating, which is very good for him. I mean, he's going to be I think he's just going to be a big target for the other side, saying, hey, like if it comes out like, hey, Jacob really seems central here. Shall we talk about the idol?
Let's talk about the idol. Yeah. So after Eleanor steps out, the rest of the tribe kind of gathers around and they do an inventory essentially of things between them.
Which Reddit kind of seems to be doing because people talk, we know where people's keys are, but not quite like this. Let's lay everything out in pool.
Yeah. A side note about this round, because Stephen, there's a message you sent me about something that you would have done if you were on the blue tribe this round, but it actually was not possible.
What would I have done?
So you said that after Eleanor steps out, if you were on blue, you would have gone back to camp and all of you together had started searching for keys, like single file, like looking everywhere for keys. They didn't go back to camp after this. We basically were like, oh, since we're doing this, we're going to jump pretty quickly into the next round. So you guys stay over in this area for like 10, 15 minutes while we go get red. And that's when we filmed these confessionals that we see after Eleanor steps out. So unfortunately, they could not go back and look for keys at this time. But after the next challenge, possibly they could. But yeah, we were basically like, stay here. We're going to get red. And I stayed with blue. I was with blue a lot here. But yeah, so they do inventory. Maggie's like, I have this power of mischief. If I have 2 keys, I can upgrade it and get more specificity on the idol clue. Who I don't know who was it? Was it Jacob that was like, oh, I have a key? Or
Yeah, I
Brittany?
don't remember either, but she gets 2 keys. They upgrade
Yeah.
the idol clue. And I
Yes.
feel very validated that we do learn the idol is at tribal council, which is what I was speculating last week based off
Yep.
only one generic idol clue.
Yep.
So personally, I've been very mad at that was my second idol clue. I'm like, gosh darn it, I've overpaid.
Yeah, so we find out it's buried, it's at tribal council, and it may be in multiple people's line of sight. Um,
which we hear people kind of say like, oh, it must be the fire pit,
yep.
right? Which I don't know, because like I'm still leaning towards buried at the booth, though, because like if it's buried, again, Casey, because you confirmed this, tribes did get a little garden shovel, garden trowel as part of their
Yep.
stuff, which this may be why, so people can dig frantically into the little tribal council.
It could be in the fire pit, it could be in the voting booth, it could be where Casey stands, it could be amongst the seatings, it could be the torch racks.
I really think the logical place is it's going to be voting booth. I think because that's a place where someone has the time capacity to quickly dig something out. That would be my guess, especially given the clues about looking. Where's most looking at? People are frantically searching for keys all over the voting booth.
Yep. Well, Maggie loops in the rest of the tribe on this. At some point, we know that last episode, she looped in Mariah and Jacob. At some point, Brittany was looped in, whether it be now or whatever.
No, she couldn't have because she got that at tribal.
No, sorry, Mariah looped in Maggie and Jacob.
About the extra vote, yes.
Yes. So I'm assuming Brittany is now aware of Mariah's extra vote.
Everyone is.
Yeah. Maggie loops everybody into everything, and basically they don't really have any keys amongst them anymore.
And which, to be fair, if you have extra keys, you have such good use of them. Either because I bet if you burn 2 more keys, the next clue is going to be is going to be a lot more specific about where at tribal council you should look. Because at that point you paid 6 keys, might as well just get the full item. But you can also, again, if we're looking at close numbers, you probably can't bank a vote anytime soon, or the personal vault, but Mariah's Mischief Maker could be reactivated. So you have good uses for it besides playing for safety. But I think at this point, again, you're looking at the merch, and if it is going red versus blue, I don't know if you can necessarily go all in on trying to protect the right person through keys. It sounds like you need to take a shot.
Yeah, let's talk about red versus blue for a second. So if they were to merge right now, theoretically, it's a 5-5. On blue, they have a banked vote, and they have 2/3 essentially of an idle clue. And then red has, well, plus blue has Eric's advantage of win an individual immunity and you get 2 keys. Red
does that require him to pass that off prior to the mini challenge, or can you hand it after they won and say, look, I redeem it?
So the way it worked last season, there was me and Rachel swapped a parchment at one point, and it was if you win a puzzle challenge, you get a key, and I won a puzzle challenge. Or no, it was a skill challenge, and then I won the slingshot thing. So I got that. We swapped after the challenge.
Oh, and then you redeemed it.
We swapped after the challenge, and then I went to production. I was like, hey, this says I have to win an individual immunity in a skill-based challenge. I just won the slingshot. Can I get this?
Yeah.
So assuming we're following the same rules, which rule book will be written within the next 6 months, that is my assumption. So they have 2/3 of an idle clue, 2/3 of an idle clue, banked vote, potential for 2 more keys. And then red has nothing.
Just a scattering of keys.
Just like, an assortment of keys. I don't know how many.
And maybe so it's a question of like, so the original red doesn't know about the bank of vote, right? And so what could happen is, let's say someone unhappy with original blue comes back in the game. Let's say it is Gibble. Gibble comes back and Gibble's going to work with reds, right? So they say, oh, it's a 6-5. Now, they know you can buy an extra vote, and so maybe they'll pool an extra vote anyways. But if they don't, there's a chance that the extra vote could tie things up for Blue's favor. Alternatively, if Blue gets I just feel like the extra vote needs to be played at merge. If Blue gets an original a mad red player back, or one of the faithful Blue players back, Blue can play the extra vote and have a 7-6 vote in their favor at a merge. I don't know. Blue is favored, is what I want to say.
Okay. Yeah, that was where I was going, was who's favored here. Interesting. We do get a couple more insights into Blue in a couple of confessionals. Mariah is confused. Mariah's like, I didn't realize people would do that. I would never do that. I would never step out. But it's interesting to know there are some emotional people out here. We got some strategizers. We got some emotional people. So Mariah's just a little confused. Seems like she's gonna stick pretty steady with original Blue. She has her banked vote. And yeah.
I mean, I want to work with Mariah.
Mariah seems like a great ally.
She's even keeled, and she's gonna we haven't seen her take out our knives yet and stab anyone in the back, so maybe I may change my mind. But so far, I'm like, yeah, Mariah seems like a great ally to have.
She's positioned herself really well behind a big shield in Jacob. I think Mariah's positioned super well. Speaking of Jacob, we get confessional from Jacob saying, basically, I hope Eric is still with us, because if we were to merge right now, we would be down in numbers. So hopefully Eric will flip back to us and bring someone with him. Steven, do we think Eric's bringing anyone with him back to Blue?
Unlikely, unless it's looking like such a landslide in Blue's favor that he's like, hey, Savannah, jump ship. I got you.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel super likely to me.
Yeah, this game is, like you said, the fluidity is currently low. I think people will stick with tribal lines for the initial vote and then scatter after a vote or two.
Yep. And Steven, that's our episode. Anything else?
We got 50 minutes out of this. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I liked this episode. I think there was a lot to talk about in terms of thought processes, set up for the future, that sort of thing. Eventually, go ahead.
Especially when we podcast more than the episode length, too, I think.
Right. Yeah. Coming up
for everyone.
Coming up at some point, I can't say when, but coming up at some point, when we get to the merge, there's going to be a mid-season break. So the redemption and merge stuff is going to be a mid-season finale. Essentially, there will be blank number of weeks off with no episodes. So we're getting there slowly. Steven, I believe you have a couple gifts for us.
I do. Give me a second.
Yeah. During those off weeks, look for some more Bloomington content. Some will pertain to Surviving Bloomington. For example, I'm going to try and get some deep dives with some of the players who were eliminated pre-merge. Obviously, this will be after the Redemption Island return. So look forward to that. Some interviews with those players. Also, some more content from some other Surviving Bloomington contestants in terms of podcasts. Just look forward to that. We'll keep you guys updated with that. But Steven, talk to us about gifts.
Yeah, so, this was a great shot of the immunity challenge with Eric taking that last step back and then just the ecstatic, you got this. And I love this challenge. I want to play this challenge all the time. Balance is my jam. And so I enjoyed seeing this happen and watching a team pull out victory. Though I don't want to touch those blocks after they've been licked.
Yeah, the licked blocks are not for me, but I do think the only way to improve this would be if Eric was wearing his clown nose.
Eric, step up your game.
Yeah, shame.
All right, and then we talked about this already, but just the scenes of just everyone kind of talking and sharing. It's yes, it's what makes his games what they are.
Yeah, and I really like how after this, when we jump into a confessional with Eric, Eric's like, hold on, I need to switch gears in my brain. We were just talking about serious and personal stuff. I need to switch back.
How's my hair?
Yeah, how's my hair? Great. It's great. Eric, somehow your hair looks great. If I go half a day without fixing mine, I have to wear a hat. So I wore a hat all of my seasons.
I wear a hat too for good reason. That and because I burn so easily.
Yeah. Yeah, Joel's too real. I love that the whole confessional was super analytical, and then at the end he was like, "The bugs like me naturally, even though I have 1,300 pounds of bug spray on."
I mean, let's be honest. When I play these games, I am simply layers upon layers of bug screen and bug repellent and sunscreen. I just constantly put those on because the two things that make me miserable: bug bites and sunburns. I don't want either, so I will just be layers upon layers of all that stuff.
Yeah, I think for the most part, our cast did a pretty good job at staying away from sunburn, thankfully. We also had that one really rainy day in the middle of the season, but this current season, season 7, has been just sun, 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 sun. Lots of humidity, lots of bugs. So, whew, not for me. Mariah is fully trying to dissociate. I love it. Mariah does not care. She's really like, okay, another one off the list. Bye. Next. I love this.
Her face changes a bit, but she does look very much like I'm doing this because I have to initially. But like it's a touching moment with the Blue Tribe, kind of all kind of bringing in and saying farewell to Eleanor. But yes, Mariah's expression in that first moment is pretty great.
Oh, I love Mariah.
That's it for gifts for this week.
Oh, okay, awesome. Stephen, did you have any like favorite other favorite like quotes or moments from this episode?
1,300 pounds of bug spray.
Yeah, the bug spray was the big one. Um, we're doing something interesting this week with Bloomy Points, and I told Steven about this before the podcast, and just work with me because it makes sense in my brain. So usually it's me, Steven, and a guest, and we each assign 6 points total. So a total of 18 points. This week it's just me and Steven. It's just between us besties. So we're still going to give out 18 points. We're each going to give out 9 points. They can be distributed however. I know there have been weeks where there were only 2 people, but when that happened, it makes sense. The numbers make sense. Just trust me.
Trust in the math is mathing somehow.
I just need people to have faith in me. I say, trying to convince myself. Okay, so this week we're each going to give out 9 points, and I told Steven it doesn't have to be like a 3-3-2-1 or whatever. It can be however you want. Um, and because he wasn't ready for this, I'll do mine first. I'm dividing mine up. Shocking, super weird. I had a short list and was having issues narrowing it down beyond a short list. So I'm going to give 2 points each to Jacob and Mariah. I think this for them was another good week. They were able to gain an advantage through Maggie, an idol clue, without really having to do anything. They had Eleanor step out, being willing to be voted out without them having to put in any strategic work. Mariah continues to be shielded behind Jacob. Jacob continues to play aggressively, successfully. So I love that for them. I'm also going to give 1 point on that tribe to Maggie because she apparently narrowly missed out being voted out. Plus, she was able to get keys from other people to upgrade her idol clue, um, which is nice. And then on the other tribe, I'm giving 1 point each to Drew, Joelle, Eric, and Savannah. 1 point to Savannah for opening that door with Eric, one to Eric for the inverse of that for working with Savannah. And then one for Drew for social game. Seems like he made some pretty good social strides in this episode. And then one for Joelle for really thinking long game and analyzing, like, I need to figure out when to make my big move, but not be too big. And also maybe want to start working with blue when it seems like other people on red aren't really looking to work with blue. So long-winded way for me to split up points between 7 people.
So wait, so how'd you allocate your points exactly? Just like two,
Okay.
two.
Two Jacob, two Mariah, and then one each for Maggie, Savannah, Eric, Joelle, Drew.
Okay. So 2 2s and 5 1s.
Correct.
Okay.
But
Well,
you do whatever you want to do.
I'm giving 9 points to me. No. Let's see. Um, I'm going to do 3 points to one player, 2 points to two different players, and 1 points to two different players.
Makes sense to me. I'm with you.
So that gets me to 9. So I'm going to give 3 points to Jacob.
Okay.
From your conversation of where things would have gone, Jacob would have been pretty central. Both the connection to Eleanor as well as Brittany, as well as his connection to Mariah. He's very insulated in the tribe. Joelle's kind of saying, "Oh, he's giving me the eyes." Like, I'm going to share with everyone, but like, oh, there could be something there. So like, I think Jacob continues to be in a good spot and have a lot of control and sway over this game.
Yep.
And
we got to see emotion from Jacob this week. Yay!
Yeah.
Because Jacob was in my DMs, in my message inbox, telling me, "Drew, you're complaining about the season. When I'm in front of the camera, I'm talking about Jacob. Yes, I'm complimenting you. Do you see me?
Please.
Hello, Jacob cried.
Please remember, take everything I say with the smallest grain of salt imaginable.
Literally, I'm the least relevant person on the planet.
Armchair quarterbacking. I suck at this game. I get voted out every turn. Take everything I say with a grain of salt because we're seeing an edited version of what truly played out.
We're seeing an edited version where, 1, we can look back at players' mistakes, and 2, I know the outcome. So what I say does not matter. Jacob, I love you. Genuinely, I love you. I just thought it was very funny.
And if you're mad with anything I say, Drew made me do it.
Steven, don't worry. I have questions that are going to expose your thoughts after this on what you think about people. But continue. Okay, 3 to Jacob. Well deserved. Yay, Jacob. Positivity for Jacob.
I'm going to do 2 points to Maggie. Now, we know Maggie was out risk, but this is Maggie. Maggie gets through this round. I don't know if Maggie would have gone home, but I think sharing the idol, I was skeptical of, but I think this is a great team building, trust building exercise. And I think if Maggie makes the merge of this group, Maggie will have a lot of mobility and interplay within her connection to Savannah, as well as her place in this alliance. I'm giving 2 points to Mariah because I think what Mariah gets out of sharing this advantage, again, brings this group together and probably closer than Red is, because Red we kind of see as these factions in a sense. Mm-hmm. I think it also gives the possibility that she will not need 2 keys herself, but she will be donated 2 keys by her tribe. Now, caveating Maggie a bit, I don't know if whoever finds the idol will give it to Maggie. I doubt that. It's not like this is Maggie's
there's a 0% chance that happens.
0.1. But I think for them, they benefited this round. I think this open honestly benefited. Maggie was able to upgrade her idol clue, and Mariah, I think, looping in Brittany at this point is a good idea because it's no point leaving just one person out of the loop, especially if Maggie's going home next.
Actually, I have a question that I just thought of. Sorry to interrupt you. With Maggie giving away, essentially sharing the idol clue with the other 3, I guess when you don't know specifically where the idol is, but you know like a generalized area, it is better to have 4 people looking than 1.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like, it's like that also ups the chance of somebody who's not you finding it.
It ups the chance not you, but it's like yes, I think it's okay for this, but I don't think
it's okay in this scenario. I think it's okay.
Yeah. For my 1 points, I'm going to turn back to the Red tribe.
Yeah.
And give them a little love. And I'm going to give 1 point to May and 1 point to Savannah.
Okay.
So I'm giving them points because, like, I don't think we've seen a formal tying. We've seen Drew and Savannah interact with Taylor, Drew, and May. And we know that Taylor and Drew are close. But I think I like this kind of, hey, let's tie something, let's make something more formal. Let's steal bananas together. It's a fun moment. It's something that may have a longer impact in the game, and it gives both them more mobility. And I think for Savannah as well, is having that relationship with Eric, that chance like he might give me this advantage. Will he? No, unlikely. But like it's just like there's work to build up something there, though, even though they'll come to a heads at a merge. I don't think Savannah will be targeted. I think Savannah will will have more mobility with Eric as a result. So yeah. I mean, I think likely who Red will target I mean, I don't think it's May. I don't think Savannah. I think it's Joelle, Drew, or Taylor will be the ones that we will gun for.
Yeah,
So
think I think I mostly agree with your line of thinking. It seems like Drew has been like a pitched target in the past, and while it
yeah,
never
it's like
landed on him, he's
if
mentioned
you're
a
looking
lot.
for the
And then
unlikely person,
Taylor and Joel have just been quieter. They've just been quiet.
I think it's more so Drew would be the vote if you're like, who will they not protect? I think we're going for. The answer is Drew, right? Kind of the unexpected option if you're worried about idle play.
Yeah.
I think Taylor, Eric, I think because he feels burned by the two of them, will likely direct it more on them if he has a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So okay, and that's my 9
Yeah.
points.
Bloomy points. I have tabulated our scores. Unfortunately, we will not be continuing the trend of the person with the most Bloomy points in total getting voted out. Eleanor was middle of the pack, but our 3-point leaders right now, in first we have Jacob with 21, Mariah with 20, and then Savannah with 17 is in third. So could be, if we're building a final three based on through the weeks who we thought is playing the best, Jacob, Mariah, Savannah are looking like our final three at the moment. Could be anything though. Steven, I have some hard-hitting questions from the fans. The fans want to know. We have quite a few people on Redemption Island right now. We have 9 people on Redemption Island.
Mm-hmm.
Steven, who are your top 3 that you want to come back?
You do this to me every week.
And I want 3 names. I can give 3 names, probably. Hi, Surviving Bloomington. Thank you for commenting. Also, hi, Zach. Hi, Valencia. Hi, Amy.
I would like to see Zach, Allison, Francis, and 4th place Gibble.
Okay. I think Francis is an interesting choice to me. I think Zach and Allison make sense. They had these sort of big emotional exits. They were in the game longer. I think those make sense to me. Those are two of my 3. I'm kind of between Carlos and Gibble, and then of course I have a soft spot for Danny. But yeah, I think there's a lot of fun that could be had with Redemption Island returnees. And Steven, half the cast has been eliminated now. Who's winning?
I think secretly there is no merge. You're just like trying to hype us up for something that doesn't happen. I think we continue to go in separate tribes until there's 2 players remaining, one in each tribe, and then all the players of Redemption will get the vote for them. It'll be fun.
So next episode we're swapping into 2 tribes of 5.
No, we're gonna leave that as is.
Okay. Yeah, Steven, who's in winner contention still?
Again, I think there's plenty of winner contention across all the players. I don't think I wouldn't count anyone out. I mean, maybe some players may have. No, I think the game is open.
Yeah, ignoring the edit and just looking at like positioning and stuff. I'm liking Mariah, I'm liking Jacob, I'm liking Savannah, again, our top 3 with the point. I think depending on who comes back from Redemption Island, they could actually stand a fairly good shot, depending on what side they default to or if they can play the middle. I would say May, but it seems like the past couple episodes, May's trajectory has maybe tapered a bit. I don't know.
Because she hasn't gone to tribal council, so we haven't been able to see her play.
Yep.
So May, just throw some challenges for us. That's all we ask.
Yeah, and Taylor said last episode I could easily throw challenges, but I'm not. Well, maybe that's what we want to see. Maybe we want to see gameplay.
I mean, as someone who enjoys Eric, I'm okay with him having a breather for a second.
Oh, absolutely. And Steven, final hard-hitting question of the episode. Who's winning the red versus blue war in the end?
I do think blue has the upper hand, but I think redemption will matter a lot.
Okay, yep.
It did in our season, which was interesting. Well, I think that's because it rained, and due to just how alliances shook out, there was a capitulation to just eliminate original order. But I don't think it'll be quite like that this season.
What are you talking about?
So I don't think there was ever a chance that our season would have been original order versus original chaos. Right?
No, our season was never red
Yeah,
versus blue.
I think a large part, John would have been a factor in that not happening,
Yeah.
which would not have been my ideal. I think I would have come to merge and try to like come to blows, red versus blue, just because my I have no red interactions potentially at that point because I voted Melanie and potentially Rachel out. So I probably would have approached our merge being more inflexible, but the rain stilted things and little Matt goes home, and that kind of sets the pieces for for Jamie and Big Matt to be kind of the big targets in the next round. Matt's immune, Danny gets sniped instead. But
Yeah, I think our season definitely was never red versus blue. When merge hit, it was just like, okay, here's the new majority, and slowly picking out people
yeah.
who were not in that group. And then once it got down to that group of six or seven, it was just peeling off the layers of the
Still,
onion.
I will say that new majority was more chaos dominated.
It was, but we had the numbers anyway. But
We can do whatever we want.
anyway, back to Surviving Bloomington. Next episode, Chapter 8, will be on Saturday evening at 8:00 p.m. Eastern. So make sure we watch that. We will see, is the merge finally happening?
Or we being you and me together.
Right. It could be anything could happen. Could be the merge finally, could be just another tribe swap. Who's to say?
So if this episode is hard times, which I love the quote didn't even come from blue, came from red. If this is hard times, what does another round pre-merge get called? Rock between a rock and a hard place at that point. I don't know. Like
I think if we get more pre-merge, we should find a way to make it worse by making it rain.
Drew is just sitting above camp with a with a hose, just spraying the players.
Yeah,
like, make it worse.
Yep, for sure. But yeah, we will talk about it next week at some point. Nothing else, I don't think, going on in the LRG world for Steven or I. Just look out for off-season content, perhaps some deep dives with people from me. Steven is continuing to cover Survivor 48.
In 45 minutes, stay tuned for a discussion of the most recent Survivor 48 episode and what is honor and how do you play an honorable game? I don't know, clearly.
I'm an honorable player. I would never lie. So just look out for that. Tune in, watch Steven do that. And yeah, Steven and I will see you next week. Until then, make sure you subscribe to Live Reality Games on all of the platforms, YouTube, Facebook. Same thing with Surviving Bloomington, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And Steven and I will see you within the next week or so. Have a good night, everyone.